So let's talk about the American Atheist Conference. Now, you were
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
I'm working.
Yeah. uh, and I was there too, and I saw your magic show, and I thought that it was pretty cool and really
Oh, thanks.
fun. Yeah. But I'm kind of curious. Were you really excited to hear any of the other speakers that were there?
Oh yeah. See, I'm one of the people who I only get to go to conventions if I'm speaking because I have a limited amount of time and the resources and everything. Now that this is my job, I'm not making nearly as much as I was in software. So I pretty much only get to hear talks if they end up online or if I'm actually there at the conference. And so when I go, I tend to try to listen to as many as possible. I mean, there's a handful that I'm gonna miss. There's some of them that I would have heard several times before because you end up with some speakers uh, at several conferences giving similar or the same talk. But yeah, I was really looking forward. I was looking forward to meeting Ian Hersey Lee and engaging with some of the other speakers for the whole convention.
Well, one particular talk that I found really interesting was Sarah Moorhead's, Hotline Project talk. I'm kind of wondering how you feel about the Hotline Project in general.
Oh, I'm fully supportive. As a matter of fact, I spoke with Sarah about this when it was in the early stages. I was, I believe, one of the first test calls, and I am a hotline volunteer, except I've been so crazy busy. They rolled this out right before, I was heading to Australia and everything. So I haven't gone to do my training, so I can't actually take calls yet. But I just got an email the other day with a new schedule of potential training. So I'm going to go train up and I'll be on the hotline.
Awesome. Yeah, and I was able to talk to Sarah Moorhead at the conference, and at the conference she had to read off the stuff because she didn't have the resources to anonymize the voices and whatnot in order to
Right.
play them. Well, I pretty much went back to the hotel room right after that and spent about 15 minutes and figured out an easy way to do it for her. And
Mm.
so when she's available and she doesn't have a lot on her plate, I'm going to work with her to be able to put something together so that she can anonymize the calls and be able to play those whenever she goes to promote the Hotline Project.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Imagine you could just run a filter in Audacity or something to.
Well, yeah, actually, it's just a simple pitch shift. Basically, you shift it to the lower end, and it gives it that nice, deep, anonymizing kind of sound. And
I think my mixer does that automatically, but I don't have it set up for it right now.
yeah, but I know one thing that she was really concerned about was being able to do it themselves because, of course, I'm not really going to be able to do anything with the calls. But, I figured if I could set up a really easy to use guide for Audacity or something like that, something that's not going to cost them really any money, then I think that it could be really beneficial for them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
It,
So
it's good to get, I didn't mind the fact that she had to read them a little bit because I love listening to Sarah talk and I like hearing her passion about the project. So, I mean, that's great too. But getting to hear the emotion of the voice, as the words are spoken rather than having them read could be something kind of impactful for improving this. So thanks for doing that.
yeah. Well, I have the same opinion as you. I think that it could really, really drive it home to hear, some of these voices because, like, one that I really want to focus on is that last transcript that, she read. The 12-year-old girl who's really concerned about her parents basically booting her out of the house and shunning her for her whole life just because she didn't believe in the same God as they did. And what I want to pose to you is how do you feel about that part of the Christian community, the part of the Christian community that is really kind of turning on itself and cannibalizing itself?
Um, I'm not sure that I see that. I mean, I don't know. Can you kind of rephrase that so I get a better grip on it?
Okay. Well, like with the call, basically the call that she read was highlighting how some Christians in the movement are basically, pushing out other Christians that don't exactly believe like them, and it's moving them to, more closer to, towards the nuns category, out of religion, and it just seems to be kind of cannibalizing itself.
I don't know that I don't know that I think that that's accurate, and that's why I kind of wanted to go through it one more time, because Christianity isn't just one thing, or one group or one church. Um, this is the type of thing that's been going on forever. It's how new churches were formed. It's how new denominations were created. You know, oh, you don't agree with me on this, so, and I don't agree with you, then fine, okay. Martin Luther's going to, nail his protest up, and we're going to have Protestantism branch off from Catholicism and Orthodoxy, and then you're going to have Baptists and Methodists and Lutherans and Episcopalians. I think one of the nice things is that the problem, I would say, is that they don't have to leave Christianity to find a place that's willing to accept them. It's so diverse now that they may have to do some legwork, and it may be difficult. But there's probably, considering that we have gay Christian churches, I think there's probably a Christian church for almost anybody. And when you consider people like the Reverend Barry Lynn, who identifies as a Christian, he's a minister, he's the president or chairman of Americans United for Separation of Church and State. He and I tend to agree on almost everything except whether or not a God exists, and he's a great advocate for church-state separation. What I like about this is not so much that they're necessarily cannibalizing themselves, but that they're driving people away, in particular, from fundamentalism, from the fundamental literalist view that is kind of more hateful and farther removed from what I think is a rational worldview.
Okay, yeah, I can actually see that, especially down here in the South, because we don't have a lot of these kind of churches, but there are a lot more churches popping up to where they're a lot more, I guess, liberal with the Bible and what they believe, and it's getting to the point where it's just a general God kind of concept. I don't know if you get what I mean with that.
Yeah, and actually, I gave an entire talk in California a couple of years ago, basically saying that I think fundamentalists and literalists should be our target audience, or they are prime audience for what I do in particular. And I think it was phrased a little differently in that we need to be going after rednecks. As a redneck of some credibility, I like this idea. Now, I think that what we're seeing when it comes to Christianity kind of eating itself a little bit is, as we begin to learn more about the universe and as the internet expands everyone's access to this information, instead of seeing like this broad spectrum of Christianity, I think you're going to see a gaping chasm, and you're going to have a rise in fundamentalists and literalists and young earth creationists, everything that's over on this side, and perhaps a significant rise in the extremely liberal, the almost, I believe, you don't, we don't really care, and God loves everybody. And so it's not Christianity as I understood it. It's not anything that is biblical. It doesn't have a leg to stand on. That's part of the problem, is that these liberal theologians, these liberal Christians, they are basically taking, like, here's all of the things that Christianity believes, and they're saying no, 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 and getting it down to just the things that they don't object to. And so they don't have a biblical leg to stand on. They don't have a history to stand on. They can, at best, appeal to personal revelation, which is useless. Anybody could, appeal to that for anything. And I don't think I think we're going to get to a point where there's not that many in the middle anymore. The kind of moderate Christians who are frequent churchgoers and believe a lot of the, like heaven and hell and angels, and have this doctrine of salvation, but maybe aren't as extreme as, I don't want to say Westboro, because that's way out on the end, but the more literal Christians like my family was.